Hey everybody, it's the Commodore from the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and you are watching the special Super Bowl edition of the Weekly Ringer for this week in February of 2011. Now, this week on the Ringer, we're going to go back through what I think is probably the deepest question we've ever had on the series before, but also something that elicited just tremendous response from the community out there. And I do like to think we have our own nice little niche community here, even inside the Clan of the Grey Wolf, here at the Weekly Ringer. So, but tremendous response, probably the response that I have been the proudest of so far. You guys really shared a lot of tremendous thoughts. Some of you gave me a great lens, gave all of us a great lens into some of your own experiences and into your own life. And that is what the Ringer should be all about. It should be about sharing those experiences and coming together to be able to share our thoughts about some of the things that make us who we are. So I'll wrap up last week's question. I'll give you some of my thoughts, as always, for those of you that give a crap. And then I will ask you a question this week for the Ringer that focuses around our Super Bowl theme. So if you like sports games, stay tuned. All right, so as I said, the response from last week was tremendous. Thank you to all of you who responded. And I also want to say, I love that every week we have new faces. Some of you are brand new to the series, or even brand new to the website, as we saw from some of the comments. I'm frankly, we're very glad to have you, of course, here at the Clan of the Grey Wolf, but I love that you've taken the time to register, sign up, and leave comments on my humble little Weekly Ringer series. Thank you for leaving your thoughts. I hope to see you all keep coming back time and time again. That's what the Ringer is all about. So, for those of you that are new, welcome. And for those of you that are veterans now of the Weekly Ringer series, you can show some of these new commenters how deep we get to go here on the Weekly Ringer series. So let me talk about a couple of the things. I'm not going to get into all of the responses that you guys gave, which were just tremendous. But I do want to talk about some of the themes that I saw, which I thought were really very, very good. The first thing I want to say is that I'm not surprised to see that almost every single one of you said that not only would you be proud to be labeled a geek, but you are proud of being labeled a geek. That's fantastic. I think that's wonderful. And moving maybe a little further down the line from that, I think maybe we should think about why that is. So you're posting on the Clan of the Grey Wolf website on the humble Weekly Ringer series, and you are unafraid, right? You just have to click the button, you enter some comments, you do so. I don't even know most of your real names by virtue of the comments that you leave. And so it's very easy to say, I want to be labeled a geek. And I'm kind of surprised. Only a few of you took up the challenge to say, and some of you did. Some of you said at work, I don't care, or other communities, it's not a big deal, friends, what have you. But I'm not sure that a lot of you are being honest as to what you might do in real life. And a couple of you did mention that maybe things would change if you weren't commenting on a geek site about this question. Let's say you were at a job interview, or you were with a group of friends that you thought were really great people, but maybe you didn't really know how they were perceiving you yet, or all those weird things that go into social interactions early on. Or let's say you just met someone, you're interested in dating them. I mean, is that something you'd really drop in the first couple questions that get asked? I'm not sure any of you would actually come to the same conclusions. I know some of you would, but I'm not sure we'd have as many vociferous, yes, I am proud to be labeled a geek, but that's neither here nor there. All right, let's go to another theme that I saw. Geekdom has definitely changed. Let's just call it what it is. Over the last 20 years, even really over the last 10 or 15 years, guys, geekdom has definitely changed. And we heard it again and again in the comments. I think all of you are absolutely right. Geekdom in 1985 was different than it was in 1995. In 85, I think we have Revenge of the Nerds, and there's this kind of, pencil pusher, pocket protector, thick rimmed glasses that was geek culture at the time. Computer programming, sci-fi, D&D, it was all there, but it was really more of something that was maybe not a counterculture thing, but something that those really smart, like too smart for their own good kids did. It's obviously changed. Changed in 1995. Look at geeks in 1995. The internet is really coming to prominence. The PC is really hitting what might be considered the beginning of its real golden age in terms of propagating from the internet and all the things that that really came out of those communities in the mid 90s. Computer clubs, things like that were just tremendous and took off. D&D probably was at one of its lower points in the mid 90s, and the community became kind of less. Well, I would say it was even more counterculture than maybe it was before, by virtue of the ways that that media depicted it. And anyway, I don't need to go into all the different changes, but the fact is that it's changed over time. Look at 2005, or even today. Now smartphones and movies like Spider-Man and The Lord of the Rings and these kinds of things that I think a lot of us really do love because of our geekdom are really more mainstream. It's not difficult to imagine most people being able to pick up a casual game and being able to call themselves a gamer, even if they've never heard of Call of Duty or have never played Halo or wouldn't know the first thing about Super Mario Brothers. That being said, too, though, Super Mario Brothers and the like are also kind of more imbued inside of our culture now. So now when you go to the store, you will find geek t-shirts. Like I see like Link t-shirts in Walmart, and I think to myself, huh. Out of all the t-shirts that they could have purchased, they realized that there is some kind of cachet involved with selling Zelda t-shirts. So even Walmart sells it now, guys, and that means that things have changed. That does not diminish it at all. Okay, as Rue posted the forum from the other site, I think was great insight from Rue. Wow, you know, I don't think it needs to be that divisive. I'm sure there are purists out there, and maybe Pat Oswalt is somebody that just loves comic books so much and is so afraid of the kind of mainstreamness of geekdom that he would say something like, you know, that there are kind of pure geeks and non-pure geeks, whatever the case might be. And some of you even keyed in to a preview of what the question will be for this week, and that is, what about sports geekdom, guys? What about, are there other kinds of geeks that maybe don't fall into the traditional you know, smart, technologically savvy, interested in sci-fi, interested in all these other kinds of things. Stereotype, and it is a stereotype, guys, that we have of geeks. We're going to get into that in a little bit, so that I don't want to spoil the question totally for this week's Ringer coming up. So another thing I want to talk about is, you guys talked about the role of the internet. Several of you talked about how the internet allowed you to see that there were communities out there that you weren't just sitting somewhere in your high school or with your friends and you liked XYZ, maybe a few things that you really like to do, Magic the Gathering or D&D, to name two from my history for sure. And you found with the internet that it wasn't just smaller communities. There were lots of people that were playing these games, and they were actually really cool people. And you could have other kinds of communities wrapped around those experiences, and it really changed things fundamentally. So the internet definitely changed those kinds of things. And guys, if there is one singular reason why geekdom is much more a part of our society today, I'm going to tell you it's the internet. And I don't think any of you would disagree with me. It isn't because 4th edition D&D, you know, it isn't even because of smartphones, because smartphones really only exist because of the internet. It's because of the interconnectivity that the internet really brings, and the ability to find those communities that normally, traditionally, would have been segregated from the rest of society in terms of labels. Another interesting question I want to ask you guys about is geek versus gamer. You know, the concept of what is someone that says, because you hear a lot of people now talk about, I'm a gamer. What does that mean? Does that mean they're a geek? Or does that just mean they like to play video games? What about somebody that likes to watch movies? Is that somebody that's a geek or somebody that just likes to watch movies? If we are to make the argument that video games are akin to, say, movies or novels or other kinds of media, then I think we have to make the argument that it's completely acceptable that there are some gamers that are not geeks, or some people that love to watch movies that aren't movie geeks, or some people that like to listen to music and aren't music geeks, and some of us who are just all around geeks of almost all of those things. And I would like to think at some level that I am one of those. So those are some of the amazing themes I thought you guys brought up, and now I will get into some of the things that I have to say about it. I am going to push on this one, guys, and here's why. Because for all of you, my dear listeners and watchers out there, and those of you that subscribe to the Clan of the Grey Wolf, I have no problem in the world admitting to you that I am a geek, and I am proud of it. And I watched the video provided by Arcus to us from BlizzCon. Several moments standing up and cheering because I am absolutely in that boat. I'm a geek. I know it. I love it. I actually feel most comfortable most of the time around people that are geeky like me. If I'm gonna throw it out there, I'm most comfortable around other geeks. But that being said, I have never been something of a social pariah, okay? I've never been somebody that has difficulty getting along with lots of people. Even growing up, had friends in lots of different areas from lots of different places, lots of different backgrounds. And I really like the idea that I could have a conversation with any of them and really be friends with all of them. And so I never, although I definitely felt some of the pressures that you guys felt out there, you know, being segregated or kind of pushed off into a corner because, oh, those are just those geeks or whatever the case might be. Sure, I felt that, but it never was a part of my identity that I think I needed to be ashamed of. And I think I definitely openly, especially in high school, because I was maybe a bit more brash and insensitive to other people back then. But I definitely, my sensibilities hadn't refined themselves to what I think you all know and enjoy today. But at that point in my life, I think I was definitely, you know, I'm a geek and here in your face, right? Now get over it. That's who I am. But I have to say the reason why I have to push a little bit on this one is because I am not one of those people that has an easy time bringing that to the forefront on the first conversation. Does that mean that people don't see that I'm a geek? I think they do. But honestly, guys, and I think you'll find this to be the case, if you can speak English with any kind of fluency, okay, if you can articulately speak of something, people will automatically start to think that you're a geek. And I don't know why that is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when the proficient use of the English language became part of the essence of geekdom, or any other language. I'm sure. I don't know how it is in other languages, and any of you out there that are part of other language and cultural communities, let me know. But here in this country, the way that things are now, if you speak English with any kind of fluency and articulation, you are like automatically a geek, and I have no idea why. So in that regard, people kind of guess that I'm a geek before they even know that, say, I build my own computers or, you know, have a rooted Android phone or can speak to them about the kinds of things that I'm interested in terms of Lord of the Rings or D&D or video games, all these other kinds of things. And I would have to say that I actually am not very good at stepping forward and being proud of that right off the bat. And I am a little afraid, especially with newer communities of people, of being labeled a geek. Recently, I've come into a new work community, and if any of you guys are listening out there, how's it going? They all know I'm a geek now, but when we first met, I definitely have to say I was a little afraid of coming out and being like, hey guys, guess what? I love video games. I mean, that's not necessarily the first thing you say to somebody. And as a few of you out there stepped up to the plate and talked about your own experiences, you don't show up to the office meeting the next morning and talk about that awesome thing that, you know, your Templar Paladin of the Silver Flame accomplished the night before in your D&D game. That's just not the way you begin the conversation. But guys, there have been numerous questions that have come through this discussion. I love the response. We're going to do more questions like this, and we're going to do lots of other silly, stupid questions too. So any of you out there that miss the dumb and maybe not dumb, but you know, different or easy or simple kinds of questions, no fear, that's coming back. This is just a nice diversion into cultural discussions, what I would call, I think what academia would call cultural studies. We're doing it here at the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and we're doing it on the Weekly Ringer.